Good morning, everybody. This is Jillian. So, yeah, I was looking at my Facebook this morning and I noticed at least one person dropped off my Facebook, and it was really recent because when I typed in her name, it showed her face, but then it showed, then I went back and it would disappeared. So I had a feeling that this was a recent block at a friend, and I could probably figure out why. Yeah, yesterday's transmission around love-hate cults. Well, the I notice a lot of the love-hate cults translate into vegan and vegetarianism politics, and I sense and then see patterns out there. And so I do mix around with a lot of different groups, and I do look and study human behavior and study their politics based upon their eating lifestyles and their eating preferences. And a lot of them have major imbalances. And so they may be overabundant in one thing. And so then they think they have to then take away a specific food, and then they politicize it, and then they completely starve themselves. Now, not totally starve themselves to where it's like they're dead, but you see the mostly skin and bones in those that are in the love, 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 and hate, because they hate anyone that eats certain foods like meat, because that's why they're vegan and vegetarian. And then they go into this love, love, love. Well, I don't like how you eat something, so I'm going to hate you. But then I'm also going to go spin it right back to now the love. Let's bring up the oxytocin. Let's play with the chakras. Let's avoid killing animals. I mean, animals are part of the circle of life, okay? And we definitely need animal protein and um, animal minerals and all of that. However, it all depends too on your lifestyle. So we don't live in a society where we're like in a temple, in like, like the monks do, where they're not really, well, some of them are expending a lot of energy moving things and are masons and they're building stuff. And so, um, but there are some people who don't expend a lot of energy. And so they can get away with, yeah, like drinking the J juice. Okay, if they're still vegan and vegetarian, but they're also a J juice proponent, but they can afford sitting behind a desk, being vegan and vegetarian and drinking the J juice. But as soon as they're forced then to go do some kind of extensive labor, let's say they go and bike ride or they go do a hike, they are going to be missing vital amino acids, vital prohormones, vital minerals, uh, vital acids. And so, because I know that with the plant proteins, they can actually do more damage to a person. When you don't bring in animal proteins and animal acids, the plant acids, they have a little bit of amino acids, but not enough like the animals do. They have a little bit of protein in some plants, but you don't get nearly as much as you would get in some kind of animal. So you see these vegan and vegetarians, so yes, they are building up their muscles because they are altering their hormones. They're manipulating their hormones to then have a specific, like they're sculpting their muscles so they think they look healthy. But actually, we are seeing now in my group that people who used to be exercise enthusiasts are now seeing that their body is decaying from the amount of lactic acid imbalances from the weightlifting and from the extensive running and all of the strenuous things they did to their body back when they thought it was trendy. And so they're paying for it, and yeah, they're doing the J juice, and so they're seeing the um, the healing process and what they have to heal from. Okay, so yeah, you know, in I'm seeing in some of the people on my Facebook who are into the tantric stuff, who are into the vegan and vegetarian, who go off into these remote communes and practice all this stuff, making teas. And then you look at them, you look closer at them, you're like, oh, wow, oh my God, he is missing fat. He looks gaunt. He looks like he's missing nutrients. He's missing collagen. And it's because the body is so strong, or the mind is so strong in convincing itself to starve itself. I mean, what do you think anorexia is? Okay. And so then we have uh, segments of our society that are so imbalanced that will actually do more harm to themselves and people around them by projecting their imbalances and shaming people for eating animals and eating processed food and all this stuff. And then they actually look really unhealthy. Okay. And so those that fast too, because fasting takes away vital nutrients that the body needs. Now, if you're doing the jelly juice and you want to do the jelly juice fast, or you're just doing jelly juice and that's it, okay, but I don't recommend it because the body still needs the fats. It still needs the sugars. It still needs a certain things that, like the acids. I mean, yeah, you're getting the acids from the fermentation, but it still needs things that you may not be getting in the juice. Okay, so that's why when you do jelly juice and you have the diet that we have, those two go hand in hand so you can process the food supply. You're not taking in inordinate amounts of acids and minerals and prohormones. You are now balancing everything out with the J juice and you're healing, and you're not undermining your healing process. And then you will look at mucus as a way to, as a barometer to see exactly where you are. So if you reintroduce foods back in your diet and you get a lot of mucus, then you know, okay, you need to still stay on the diet, do the J juice, and still heal. And so with this whole thing with Genghis Khan, okay, because I'm going to have, I want people to understand that. But the thing with Genghis Khan is why his army was so like full of stamina and full of longevity. Well, I don't know how longevity, but it's because, yeah, they had a lot of energy. They probably didn't poop a lot. Okay. So when you're eating meat, milk, and yogurt, and they were relatively healthy back then, they had strong bones, strong teeth, strong everything. So meat, milk, yogurt, and yeah, they had their fruits and veggies, and they didn't have to eat for a couple of days at a time. Because I know when I eat steak, I don't really have to eat really because my body is still processing it, and I don't really have to poop either. Okay, so I could probably eat without having, I could probably go without eating for a few days when I have a major amount of protein from a meat source. So then I'm thinking, okay, but what did them in? Why the Mongols ultimately died? Because probably they didn't expel the excess acids they got in the meat, in the milk, and the protein, or in the yogurt. Um, and so even though it gave them in those 20, 30, whatever, how many years that they committed to being the Mongol invaders, they still died from degradation because they didn't expel the excess. They had an overabundance of acid in their body that then caused the aging process. So now with the whole J juice, we're able to harness what they did in the military with the Mongols, okay? And now have the ability to expel the excess. So you can still have reserves in your body of the minerals from the meat and the milk and the yogurt and all of that, but you're not like causing overaccumulation. Okay. And so I remember when I was in the military, they gave us MREs, which were meals ready to eat. And I was really, really skinny way back then, 104 pounds. But they gave it to us because it was such a very thick, almost, I mean, it was like dehydrated. Some of it was dehydrated. Some you had to add water to then, make it a little bit juicy. I mean, they had like chicken a la king, and it was hardly any juice, and it was just so thick, like so thick. And so that was like cement in your intestines. And that's what gave the soldiers energy to go and fight. I mean, that's the whole thinking behind the MREs, is that you will have all this energy to fight. Yeah, you'll pee, but you're not going to be stopping and taking a shit every 5 minutes because you're going to be constipated. And then when you go back to base camp after your battle, you're able to shit and release if you can. Okay. And I remember that I didn't shit very much in basic training. I mean, it's high stress anyways. And then we ate like in like 5 minutes, and we ate hella fast. And then we were given MREs a few times when you're on longer training days. And I remember I just wasn't shitting correctly. I also had the Norplant, which I was then bleeding for like 2 weeks at a time too. So we can take stuff from the military and look at how strong our military is by all of the different diverse foods. And we're getting young kids who haven't used up all their minerals. They don't have as many issues because they're strong enough to be in the military. But what ultimately does the people who are in the military in is the weaknesses from those years of taking in food that they're not expelling, and then it's causing imbalances in their acids, in their minerals, and in their prohormones. Okay, so then where the jelly juice comes in with the waterfalls, okay, is that we're able to absorb what we need and then release the excess. So right now, we had a conversation in the group that people were trying to figure out, well, if my son is drinking a cup a day and he's not releasing, is that bad, or is that going to be any kind of nutritional benefit? And of course it is. Because to say obviously if you drink like a quart of the J juice your first time, most likely you're going to have waterfalls, most likely, unless you are that depleted that the body is utilizing the quart. Now, if you're feeling constipated and if you're feeling bloated and you feel like you need to release, then you need to drink water and you need to get that release. But if you drank a quart and you don't feel anything, like it didn't even affect you, your body is using it because you're that depleted. And some people who are like 250 pounds or 7'5", 250 pounds, and they drink a quart and they don't feel anything, it's because the body is using it. Okay? The body is using it. But then, and this is what I noticed, then when you feel constipated or bloated and you feel like, oh my God, that's when you know the body is scraping the sides of that compacted crap that's in your colon and in your intestines, and it's doing its best to push it through, but you have this force of cement somewhere along the feet of your intestines that need an extra helping hand. And then this is where more of the juice or more water is going to help be that force to then clear the pipes. Because once you clear the pipes, then the communication is clear between the body, mind, and spirit. And that's when the healing happens. But in the beginning, people are going to be doing it slow, and so they may not get waterfalls right off the bat. Some people will. It just depends upon how much. So if you get waterfalls right off the bat, it means that you're over mineralized already anyways, or you have too much acid, but the body's going to use the micro and macronutrition, the prohormones, because your body needs what is it? Fatty acids, amino acids, prohormones, and minerals. And the J juice has at least 3 out of the 4. There might be a little bit of fatty acid, probably, but you're going to get the fatty acid in the diet. Okay, so that's why people get skinny when they just do the juice fast, because they need to have the fats, like in the chicken, like the animal, and maybe and fine if you use butter, fine, or coconut oil or olive oil, okay, because those are fatty acids. So when the body is waterfalling right away, it means that the body knows that it has enough acids and enough minerals, but it just needs the nutrition to then heal the body. Because if you don't waterfall right away, the body is using that drink, that 2 cups or a cup, and it's a good sign. And then when you waterfall right away, it means the body now is self-regulating, and it's getting rid of what it doesn't need, and is keeping what it does need, and you are healing. So yeah, if you'll be waterfalling all the time, you're releasing the excess minerals, the excess acids, but you're now deriving benefit from the nutrition, and the salt and the acids and all of that are then breaking down the food to where your body can derive nutrition, plus then the nutrition from the drink, from the kale and the cabbage. So that's why we don't want to do too much juice fasting with the juice, because your body needs a diverse amount of nutrients without it going overboard. Because if you are eating large amounts of steak, trying to do the juice and heal your body, that's a lot of information. Okay, and so that's why there isn't red meat in the beginning, because that's an advanced data pack that some bodies can't handle in the beginning, especially if you have diagnosable diseases. So if you get your acids from the J juice, which is the fermentation, and you get your minerals, and you get your micro and macronutrition or pro-hormones from the juice, and those acids then break down whatever foods that you're eating, that's going to be a much easier way to heal and release. Okay? So don't think it's bad if you don't waterfall right away, because you can get benefit even doing just a little bit of juice every single day. But eventually, the body is going to then get rid of the excess poop, and it's going to push it down, and that's when people feel bloated. And that's when you need to up the J juice, so that way you can push all that crap through your pipes and out your ass. Okay? So there's a reason for it all. There's a reason for it all. And yes, waterfalls are optimal, but it doesn't have to happen right away. But when you do get waterfalls, you know your body is self-regulating and it has its own intelligence. And you have to trust it once you give it what it needs. But people try to adjust their chemistry utilizing the wrong components, and they are creating more imbalances, because addiction is when you have too much of something or too little of something, and then you overindulge. Okay, so there's no such thing as too much if you don't have enough, and that's really with anything. So when someone drinks a lot of the J juice and they can handle it, like me, I can drink a quart and I can handle it. Okay, and in one sitting. I can even drink 2 quarts in one sitting. I can push it to 3 quarts in one sitting, but ooh, and then those waterfalls are like crazy. Okay, but I haven't done the 3 quarts in one sitting because my body doesn't need that much nutrition anymore. But those of you that are still experiencing aging and you still have cancer, disease, and chronic illness, you got to go and double and triple every so often, not all the time, but you got to go and double and triple every so often your usual intake. So if your usual intake is like 2 cups a day, which is great, and then maybe once a month, you double and triple that and do a bunch of waterfalls and then jack yourself up to the next level of healing. Okay? And so it's just a matter of kind of breaking that homeostasis, breaking that routine. And also too, it depends on what you eat. So some people are not on the diet per se. They're kind of half on the diet, half not. And that could be a reason why you're not getting waterfalls. I mean, that's what Kevin introduced at one point last night when someone was having, when a lady asked about her autistic son. It could be what he ate. There's so many different factors. Or it could be the fact that his body needs that nutrition and it's not releasing any excess because it's utilizing it. So there's 2 ways to look at it. But if he feels bloated and constipated, then you know the body is trying to get rid of it and it needs more help. Okay? So yeah, there is definitely a reason behind how the jelly juice affects certain people. And you just have to understand why it happens the way it happens. And then look for the indicators. Mucus is an indicator, and feeling bloated is an indicator that the body needs more of the J juice and more water. Okay, so other than that, that's all I have. I'm gonna take a break today. It's my Monday or whatever. And yeah, I mean, if there's anything else that I want to share, obviously I'll share it. But we have a lot. We're getting some new members in the group because people really get where I'm coming from now. The whole love-hate cult thing is, it kind of pissed off a few people, because some people do live for the love and hate. Some people do live within their addictions, their next fix, and they can't fathom even a person could be an addiction. And so when your life and your world is built upon love and hate, and then someone says try to live without living from the love and hate, they don't know how to be. They don't even know what to do with themselves. It rocked their world. It rocked their world enough for them to block me. And I hadn't done anything to the person, but I knew because of a person's, I know why, because people don't just block you out of the blue. There's something that triggers it. And when you say something that really just conflicts with their whole belief system, they don't want it. It's too much. It's too much for them. And that's where people put their boundaries down. And that's good. If it rocks your world and it takes away your foundation, that which is keeping you stable, okay. But then when you're ready to change, my information will still be there, especially when people are experiencing cancer, disease, and chronic illness, and they do want to live. But I just hope that it's not too late for them. All right. But yeah, so pay attention to all the love hate cults that are out there, because you will see exactly where I'm coming from. They live from their hormones, and it's a way to manipulate when you project so much love and so much hate. And then it turns into a type of genocide, because then people start starving themselves because of their imbalances. And then they project that and they politicize that. It turns into an activist stance and then some kind of religion. And then that's where cults come from, because cult leaders do not attract people without tapping into their hormones, their oxytocin. Okay? Cult leaders do not attract people unless they are tapping into the oxytocin. And people want to understand how to live without living from their addictions and their hormones, then this information is for you. But that's why I don't have a deluge of people coming in, because so many people are still addicted out there in the world. They still run their life through their addictions. That is their norm. And that's why my group slowly is building up. But it's not exactly like, some of these groups are like, oh my God, they have like 10,000 people. We got 10,000 addicted people out there in the world. But when you want to get off that train of addiction, the J Juice is right there for you. And I'll be there. All right. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.